Ladies and gentlemen of the shadows, survivors, sinners, outcasts, and misunderstood monsters, they talkin'. Oh, they always talkin'. They say you must have made a deal with death, 'cause no one takes that much damage and still breathes. You still breathing. That alone got 'em shook. They whisper your name like it's cursed. They flinch when you walk past like your footsteps echo the graves they thought you'd be in. 'Cause here's the truth they can't swallow. You weren't supposed to survive. Not the betrayal, not the abandonment, not the heartbreak that left your chest hollow and your smile fake. Not the nights where you stared at the ceiling, begging for silence. Not from the world, but from your own mind. But you didn't disappear. You didn't break. You burned. And now they trying to make sense of it. 'Cause people like you ain't in the script. You don't fit the formula. You're the glitch they couldn't patch. You're the wrong one they thought was weak, but turns out you just don't die like the rest. You ain't numb. Nah. You feel everything, every hit, every loss, every knife they slid in your back and smiled after. But you kept moving. That's what scares them. See, they expect silence after trauma. They expect tears in the corner. They expect you to crawl back, begging for mercy, for acceptance, for crumbs of peace. But what did you do? You stood up, scarred, bruised, shaken. But you stood, and you looked life dead in the face and said, "Try me again." Now they say you cold. They say you heartless. They say you changed. Yeah, you changed. You stopped explaining your value to people who only understand pain when it's theirs. You stopped shrinking for cowards who only feel big when they break someone smaller. You stopped carrying the guilt for wounds you never deserved. Now they act confused. They want to know how you're still smiling, how you still got fire in your eyes after being dragged through hell, how you still walking like you own the ground that tried to bury you. They think you sold your soul to survive. Nah. You sold your silence. You gave up your tears. You traded your innocence for wisdom, your trust for instinct, your comfort for power. You didn't make a deal with death. You made a deal with truth. You chose to see people for who they are, not who they pretend to be. You chose to stop waiting for apologies that were never coming. You chose to stop begging the fire to go out. And instead, you learned to dance inside it. You started speaking in scars. You started wearing your wounds like armor instead of shame. You started building your peace, not wishing for it. Now they mad, because nothing they did worked. They lied on your name, and it echoed. They ghosted you, and expected you to fade. They threw dirt on you, and you grew. They don't understand how someone who's been broken that many times still got the audacity to breathe like they belong, still got the nerve to walk like they can't be touched, still got the strength to smile like the past ain't got claws. But they don't get it, because they only strong when eyes are on 'em. You strong in the dark. You built in the silence. You healed in private. You stitched yourself up with hands that were still shaking. And you ain't tell nobody. You just showed up different. Now they whisper. They say you cold-blooded. They say you unrecognizable. They say your eyes don't look the same. They right. 'Cause those ain't the eyes of someone who's fine. Those are the eyes of someone who survived what should have killed them. They scared because they know. You don't need validation. You don't need praise. You don't even need revenge. You just keep moving. And that terrifies them more than any threat ever could. You breathing? That's your revenge. You laughing? That's your victory cry. You still showing up, still speaking your truth, still building while they throw stones. That's power, 'cause they tried to end you. Not just once. Every time they chose not to care. Every time they looked away while you drowned. Every time they played innocent after playing you dirty. But the joke's on them. 'Cause you didn't drown. You learned to breathe underwater. And now you walk like silence never hurt you. Like abandonment didn't mold you. Like pain didn't teach you how to read every room before you even step in it. You see everything now. You hear the fake in their compliments. You feel the fear in their shade. You catch the jealousy in their jokes. They scared. Because they know. Whatever tried to kill you should have finished the job. They should have ended it when you were on the floor. When your hands were shaken too hard to lift yourself up. When your voice cracked from screaming into pillowcases. When you were praying for numbness just to get 1 hour of sleep without feeling like the walls were closing in. They had their chance, but they hesitated. They watched you bleed. Thought that was the end. Didn't know you were memorizing every face that stepped over you, etching every name into a place beyond forgiveness, crafting a map of pain you'd use later when you came back for everything they swore you'd never reach. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You walk in proof that pain doesn't just destroy, it refines. You don't shake the same anymore. You don't beg for explanations. You don't chase the people who ran when the sky cracked open. You let them run, 'cause you realized something they never wanted you to know. That the minute you stopped needing them, you became a threat. And threats? They whisper about them in quiet rooms. They point fingers and talk deals with death to make sense of the monster they created but couldn't control. You wear your detachment like cologne now. You learn the art of watching without speaking, loving without lowering, cutting without leaving blood. You became the thing they swore you'd never be. Free. Not the kind of free they post about online. The kind of free that don't answer the phone. The kind of free that don't explain themselves. The kind of free that sleeps fine with a heavy conscience 'cause they know what it took to live. You saw too much. The fake love, the quiet betrayals, the hollow promises dressed in pretty words. You saw the real people behind the masks, and you stopped playing the game. They thought they'd break your heart. Didn't realize they were awakening your rage. You don't just walk different. You vibrate on a frequency they can't touch without burning. Your boundaries feel like punishment to people who only knew how to feed on your guilt. Your silence feels like war to those who used to feed on your validation. Your presence alone got them rethinking every lie they told about you because the story don't match the glow in your face now. You ain't healed soft, you healed ugly, loud, angry, rebellious. You didn't write poems about the pain. You sharpened it. You turned your memories into armor, your flashbacks into war drums. You came back with a face that says, I remember everything, but I owe you nothing. You can feel it, can't you? That charge in the air when you walk into a room full of people who once counted you out. That eerie silence when they catch a glimpse of who you've become. Not a survivor, not a victim, but a weapon with a history. And they scared to talk to you now. Scared to ask how you did it. Scared to admit they don't recognize you. Scared of the fire in your eyes that wasn't there before. That slow burn stare that sees through the games. That cold calm that comes from knowing you could destroy everything in the room and still be the quietest one in it. They feel it. That pressure. Like something big is coming. And it's wearing your face. Because when death couldn't take you, and fear couldn't cage you, and love couldn't save you, you built your own damn myth. And every time they ask how you still breathing, every time they try to figure out why the world keeps giving you chances after they tried to erase you, every time they tell someone, yo, I swear, They must have made a deal with death. That's just fear talking. Fear of a soul they couldn't bury. Fear of a spirit that adapted to pain. Fear of someone who don't flinch no more. Because everything that used to kill 'em just made 'em sharper. Breathing ain't just survival for you anymore. It's rebellion. Every inhale a middle finger. Every exhale a reminder. You're still here. Still building. Still dangerous. They don't realize what it cost you to breathe like this. You ain't floating through life. You dragged yourself here, through every version of hell with no map, no guide, just the sound of your own heartbeat pounding through the silence, reminding you that you ain't done yet. You were built in places they don't talk about. Dark rooms where the walls whispered every name that left you. Cold mornings where the mirror stared back like a stranger. Lonely nights where your mind turned into a battlefield and the only weapon you had was the choice to keep waking up. They think your strength comes from some mystery, a secret deal, a supernatural pact, a devil's handshake. It's easier to believe you cheated death than to accept that you just never quit. Because it's terrifying. The idea that someone could go through all that and still show up with fire in their chest and a look in their eye like they seen the other side and didn't flinch. They think you lucky, but they didn't see you breaking down in silence, suffocating in rooms full of people, smiling with a mouth full of blood and saying you're fine just to keep the peace. They didn't see you losing pieces of yourself just to keep relationships afloat that should have drowned. Didn't see you forgiving people who wouldn't even say your name in a prayer. Didn't see you lowering your light to make everyone else feel safe in their shadows. They didn't see how many times you folded just to keep love alive. They only see the version of you that rose, the aftermath, the rebirth. You walk like pain raised you, because it did. You talk like silence taught you, because it had to. You trust like every smile got a blade behind it, because too many did. You love like a loaded gun, not reckless, just careful. You give people your presence but never your soul, not anymore. And that confuses them. Because they remember the version of you that bled for peace, that broke for approval, that stayed quiet to keep fake love from walking out. They miss the version of you that begged. You ain't begging anymore. You ain't explaining your worth. You ain't arguing with low-frequency minds trying to dissect the high-voltage soul. You ain't shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you were meant to outgrow. They call it arrogance. You call it clarity. You call it remembering who the hell you are. You don't move from emotion no more. You move from instinct. You peep the energy before the words even hit. You clock the tension in the room and already know who's praying for your downfall with a smile on their face, and you keep it pushing because you learned. Revenge ain't always a bullet. Sometimes it's just living well, thriving louder, healing without apology. You became immune to their chaos. Their opinions don't shake you. Their silence don't hurt you. Their absence don't haunt you. You found peace in places they swore would break you. You made friends with your demons. You sat with your darkness. You stared your grief in the face till it stopped barking and started listening. And now, you walk different, like you've been through 1,000 endings and still chose yourself every single time. Like you're carrying every version of you that ever got hurt, and every one of them's rooting for you now. They still whispering about that deal with death. They still convinced it wasn't humanly possible for you to survive what you did and not turn to stone. They don't get how someone could go through all that and still have heart left. They don't know the truth. That you didn't just survive death. You sat with it. You broke bread with the abyss. You let it take what it wanted, and when it left, you stood back up with nothing but a cracked voice and a new set of rules. You became the storm, and they ain't ready for what happens when a storm learns to walk quiet. You don't announce your pain anymore. You carry it like currency, not to spend, not to flaunt, but to own every step you take on ground they thought would cave under you. And they feel it. They feel it in their chest when you walk in, like a silence too heavy to ignore, like the ghosts of their own guilt whispering, "You were wrong about them." They swear you did something unnatural to still be breathing. Because if they went through half of it, they'd be gone. If they lost half of what you lost, they'd be dust. If they felt what you feel, every time your mind flashes back to the pain, the looks, the losses, the nights full of nothing, they'd fold in minutes. But you didn't. You adapted. You turned your nervous system into armor. You trained your heart to beat through betrayal like its background noise. You taught your hands to steady when all they wanted to do was break something. You raised yourself in the ruins. And they think you're heartless. That's what they say. But it's not that you're cold. It's that you got selective warmth now. You don't give your flame to people who just want to feel cozy while they freeze you out later. You don't pour your soul into black holes wearing fake smiles. You don't bleed for applause. You move with precision now. Not 'cause you scared, 'cause you learned. You learned that some people only love you when you lose, that they cheer louder when you're weak than when you win, that they confuse kindness for permission and your silence for surrender. You watch them clap when you tripped and act blind when you rose. Watch them repost quotes about loyalty while talking behind your back like it was sport. Watch them mimic pain just to siphon attention while you fought wars in silence, unarmed and unacknowledged. You don't need sympathy. You don't crave redemption arcs written by liars. You know who you are without the applause, without the echo chamber, without the filters. You carry your scars like scripture, not for pity, for proof. Proof that when life tried to erase you, you pressed harder. Proof that when everyone left, you became your own damn rescue. Proof that when death knocked, you didn't just refuse. You invited it in, looked it dead in the eyes, and asked if it brought anything new. They ain't ready for that kind of madness, that kind of peace wrapped in fury, that kind of joy that don't come from safety, but from survival. But not anymore. You're untouchable now. Not because you invincible, but because you already died in every way that matters and came back unapologetically awake. You came back without the filters, without the fake smiles, without the urge to explain the weight you carry to people who never even tried to lift it. You came back looking at the world like it's a lie on loop, and you're the one glitch that refused to play along. They don't know how to engage with you anymore. They don't know whether to admire you or fear you, whether to congratulate you or keep their distance, whether to act like they supported you or just stay quiet and hope you forgot what they did when you were at your lowest. You didn't forget. You don't need to bring it up. You don't need to call it out. You just exist with memory in your spine, and that alone makes the room uncomfortable. You carry the weight of all your past selves, not as baggage, but as an army. Each one of them sitting inside your chest, watching how you move, cheering for the strength they never got to taste, crying tears you no longer have time to shed. You keep your circle small now, 'cause you learned not everyone near you is with you. You recognize the eyes of envy disguised as admiration. You feel the hesitation in their hugs. You notice the energy shift when your name holds too much light. They want the old version of you. The soft one, the desperate one, the one who'd overextend just to be included, who'd over-explain just to be understood, who'd overstay in rooms that reeked of dismissal just to say they tried. That version's buried, not gone, just finally laid to rest. You visit them sometimes, in your quietest moments, not with guilt, but with gratitude. You smile like you already seen how the story ends, like you made peace with every version of yourself they tried to kill off, like the pain gave you sight beyond the surface, like you don't need approval because you remember the silence when you needed it most. That's what haunts them, not your strength, but the calm. The way you laugh without begging, the way you stand without leaning, the way you breathe without breaking, the way your presence feels like thunder wrapped in stillness. They call it darkness, you call it home. You built a throne in the shadows and learned to sit with your rage without letting it drive. You became the ruler of every ache they thought would own you, and you don't owe them a single piece of your light. They want to know how you did it. They want to dissect the blueprint. But it don't live on paper. It lives in the nights you didn't die. It lives in the nights your own mind turned on you, when your thoughts got sharp and your will got quiet, when every breath felt borrowed and every second stretched like punishment, when even the mirror didn't recognize you and your reflection looked like a warning instead of a face. That's where the blueprint lives, in the silence after the screams, in the breath you forced through clenched teeth just to prove you still could, in the moments when you wanted out, but stayed, not 'cause you were ready, not 'cause you were strong, but because some part of you, the part they couldn't touch, couldn't poison, couldn't break, refused to vanish. You walk with that part leading now, the part that don't flinch, the part that don't beg, the part that got tired of being quiet in rooms where you should have been worshipped. You became everything they said you'd never be, not despite the pain, but because of it. You walking around with that look in your eye that say, I remember who disappeared. You ain't bringing it up, but you ain't forgetting either. You don't scream for revenge. Your existence is revenge. Every move you make with purpose, every laugh that ain't performative, every second you keep going when your body wants to crash. That's retribution, not for them, for you, for the version of you that broke quietly, that held the weight of other people's comfort like a coffin on your back, that cried in places where nobody checked for echoes, that kept showing up to rooms that drained you just to prove you were still human. You're done proving anything. You're done apologizing for being the aftermath of survival. You ain't made for comfort. You're made for truth. And truth don't always smile. You speak in energy now. Your silence got bass in it. Your presence got weight, not 'cause you loud, but because you've been through too much to fake anything. You don't do performance. You don't play palatable. You don't clean up your truth to make fragile people feel brave. You carry your raw like it's fashion. You wear your damage like design. They whisper that you made a deal with death, that maybe you paid something unnatural to still be standing. They almost right. You did pay. You paid in sleep. You paid in trust. You paid in innocence, in tears, in time you ain't get back, in moments you should have smiled but were too busy pretending you were fine. You paid with every piece of your soul that begged for understanding and got silence in return. And what you got back wasn't safety, wasn't softness, wasn't even peace. It was clarity. That people don't always come to love you. Some come to feed. That loyalty don't mean nothing when it ain't mutual. That being the bigger person sometimes just means being the easier one to break. Ah, welcome, my beautiful mistake-proof monsters. You know what's funny? The second you stop begging for crumbs from their broken tables, the second you stop looking over your shoulder for approval, the moment you wake up and realize you don't owe anybody a damn thing, that is when they start calling you arrogant. Not because you hurt them, not because you failed them, but because you didn't need them. You didn't dance for their attention. You didn't flinch when they ghosted. You didn't collapse when they withheld their fake love. You kept walking alone, in silence, with that dangerous, dead-eyed focus. And that is what made them mad as hell, because you didn't break like they hoped you would. You didn't cry where they expected a collapse. You stood there, scarred but straight, and whispered, "I don't give a fuck." And that shattered their whole illusion of control. See, people hate when you're unbothered because your peace, it exposes their chaos. Your silence, it screams louder than their noise. Your absence, it burns deeper than your presence ever could. You got 'em pacing rooms you never stepped foot in. You got 'em overthinking every move. While you're just chilling, you got people praying for your downfall, while you're too busy glowing up to even notice. They hate that you're a loner, because it means you're self-fed. You're not begging for attention. You're not posting your pain for sympathy clicks. You're not leaking your soul to people who only show up to sip the drama. You're off the radar. You're out of reach. And that makes them paranoid. Because people can't control what they can't access. Let me tell you something real. Being unbothered isn't a vibe. It's a weapon. They try to bait you with shade, and you don't even blink. They try to ghost you, and you laugh because you were already gone. They try to make you jealous, but you were too focused on your next win to even notice. You've become what they feared the most, somebody they can't manipulate. You've become a mirror, and they hate what they see in their own reflection, because while they're busy talking in circles, you've been stacking silence into skyscrapers of progress. You want to know why your no fucks given attitude is so threatening? Because they still depend on applause. They still need validation to feel alive. They're still puppets to people who don't even clap for them. But you burned the damn stage and walked away. You don't need their claps, their likes, their fake praise. You just keep moving, like a ghost with a mission. You're dangerous because you're not addicted to being seen. You're powerful because you don't chase, you attract. They try to ignore you, but your glow keeps screaming through their filters. They try to erase you, but your impact is tattooed on their memories. They try to downplay you, but they keep checking in like you're the weather. You're a loner, not because you're broken, but because you're free. You detached from the performance. You walked off the stage while they kept acting. And now, you're living a story they don't understand. One without the need for likes, hearts, tags, or followers. You stopped asking for a seat at their stupid tables. You built your own, out of scars, silence, and savage lessons. And now, they're bitter, because they can't eat where they tried to starve you. They call you cold, good. They call you distant, perfect. They say you switched up. Finally, they say you changed. Damn right. Because the old version of you, the one who explained everything, who overgave, who shrunk just to make everyone else comfortable, that version died, and in its place, stands someone unapologetically rare, a soul on fire, a warrior of solitude, someone they can't label, can't box in, can't break down. And that is what really has them mad as hell. Because when you stopped asking, you started becoming. You became the version of you they hoped would never show up. The version that doesn't chase, doesn't flinch, doesn't fold. You became a storm in stillness, an echo in rooms you never enter anymore. And that echo, it's louder than their screams. You're not just unbothered, you're untouchable. You're no longer trying to be understood. You're no longer decoding their mood swings, apologizing for your truth, or making room for clowns in your kingdom. You're different now, not bitter, just done. And they feel that. They feel it in your silence. They feel it in how your name still rings, in rooms you haven't stepped into for months. People hate when they can't control the narrative about you. They wanted to label you as difficult, emotionless, too intense, too distant. But the truth is, you're just not interested in being fake anymore. You're done clapping for performances. You're done pretending to laugh at unfunny lies. You're done tolerating energy that drains your soul dry. They say you're cold because you stopped pouring, but they never tell the part about how they left you empty first. You don't need them anymore, and that's your superpower. You learned how to self-soothe. You learned how to sit in the dark with your demons and not flinch. You built peace that doesn't need applause to feel real. You made solitude feel like a vacation, not a punishment. And they hate that, because while they're still performing for crowds that don't care, you're building in the shadows, plotting moves in silence, healing in ways they can't even pronounce. You're not the underdog anymore. You're the blueprint they pretend they're not watching. You're the one they warn others about, but secretly admire. You're the one that made it through hell and didn't come back asking for a hug. You know what scares people the most? Someone who's walked through fire and came out cooler. Someone who's been betrayed, mocked, doubted, discarded, and still walks like destiny owes them nothing. But they'll take everything they deserve anyway. You're calm, but you ain't soft. You're kind, but you ain't stupid. You're quiet, but your presence hits harder than 1,000 screams. You became the thing they couldn't predict, the wild card, the outlier, the threat they didn't see coming. And now, they don't know whether to hate you or worship you. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend. You don't need to explain. Why? Because when you're really walking in power, you don't need to announce it. They feel it in how you move, in what you don't react to, in what you walk away from without a single damn word. That's what makes them lose sleep. That's what makes them gossip louder. That's what makes them fake laugh when your name comes up. They hate how powerful you are with zero effort. Because you're not thirsty, you're not begging, you're not posting your pain to get pity. You're just unbothered, unattached, unstoppable. Let's be honest, you were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to be understood by people who can't even face their own reflection. You were never meant to lower your frequency just to be digestible. You were built for something higher. You were built for the silence, for the shadows, for the kind of growth that nobody claps for until they need it to. And the loner in you. That's not a flaw. That's the evidence that you were chosen to stand alone, that your calling was never meant to come with a crowd. So yeah, they're mad. Mad you didn't fold. Mad you didn't respond. Mad you outgrew their bullshit so fast they didn't even see the exit door. But deep down, They don't hate you. They hate that they couldn't break you. They hate that you healed without their help. They hate that you don't flinch anymore when they throw their usual tricks. They hate that you're so fucking free it burns their fragile egos like acid. And no matter how much they whisper, no matter how much they scheme, they'll never get close enough again to even touch your peace. They thought isolation would kill you. They thought if we just pull away, starve them of attention, ignore them long enough, you'd crack, you'd shrink, you'd come crawling back for scraps. But instead, you thrived in the quiet. You built an empire in the echo of their silence. You found yourself in the noise they never understood. You didn't just survive, you rebooted. You turned the volume down on their fake affection and turned the volume up on your inner savage. They left you thinking you'd beg. Instead, you vanished like a ghost and came back unrecognizable. And now you walk with a presence that haunts them, not because you're loud, but because they feel the weight of what they tried to destroy. Still standing, stronger, sharper, colder, calmer. You're not angry, you're just uninterested. You're not bitter, you're just done explaining yourself to people who only listen when you scream. You ain't here for applause. You ain't here to be palatable. You ain't here to babysit fragile egos with soft truths. You're here to exist loudly without asking permission. And every time you do, every time you show up with zero fucks and full force, you expose just how fake their confidence is. You've become a reminder, a walking scar that says, this is what happens when you try to dim the wrong flame. Because you didn't just detach, you outgrew them. Their games, too small. Their insults, too predictable. Their opinions, too weak to carry weight in your new world. And the more you shine without needing them, the more their world starts cracking. They start glitching. They can't process your peace. They can't digest your distance. They can't comprehend how you're thriving without them in the equation. You want the truth? You out-evolved the connection. You out-healed the wound. You out-vibed the betrayal. You moved on so ruthlessly it felt like vengeance. But it was just healing. And now your detachment feels like punishment to people who only loved you when you were wounded and weak. You gave them peace once. You gave them access. You gave them more chances than they ever deserved. But now, they get nothing, not your presence, not your energy, not even your anger, just the echo of what they lost when they underestimated you. They used to call you too much, too intense, too sensitive, too deep. But now, they're realizing you were never too much. They were just never enough. You were carrying the room the whole time. Your silence held more wisdom than their noise ever could. Your presence kept the whole damn structure standing. And when you walked, it all fell. Now they miss the energy they mocked. They miss the power they tried to dilute. They miss the realness they weren't ready for. But here's the catch. You're not coming back. You leveled up so far they can't even pronounce the name of the dimension you live in now. You operate on frequencies that burn their insecurities like acid. You speak in silence, and they hear it loud. They know now. They can't break someone who already buried their own heart and came back colder. They can't guilt trip someone who's already faced their demons and learned their names. They can't shame someone who burned the blueprint and built from ashes with their own bare hands. You're not just doing better. You're untouchable. And it eats them alive that they don't even get a front row seat to the masterpiece they once doubted. They had their chance to sit with you. Now they get to watch from a distance as you build a kingdom on the silence they thought would destroy you. And guess what? You're just getting started. They never expected you to disappear like that. Not just from their lives, but from their control. You didn't just block the number. You blocked the cycle. You shut the door on the entire theater of manipulation. And they're still standing outside, rehearsing lines for a play that ended without them. They loved the version of you that was uncertain, the version that overthought every text, that apologized for just existing, that said yes while bleeding, that stayed quiet to keep the peace in a war you never started. They adored the version of you that played nice while they played dirty, that gave chances like candy to people who came with knives, that kept showing up for people who vanished the second you needed them. But that version of you, dead, gone, buried under layers of betrayal, silence, and forced strength. And what rose in its place, a walking nightmare for the fake, the weak, and the conditional. Now you're quiet, and that quiet is violent. Because when someone like you goes silent, it means they finally fucking get it. You got tired of begging people to love you with their whole heart. You got tired of shrinking so you could fit inside their tiny boxes. You got tired of breaking your own boundaries just to keep their love on life support. You finally realized they didn't love you. They loved your wounds. They fed on your softness. They drank from your chaos. They depended on your confusion. But now, you're clear. And when clarity hits someone who was only loyal to your chaos, they run, they get defensive, they smear your name to protect the lie they built in your shadow. But you don't even flinch, because you know now, if they could walk away that easy, they were never meant to stand beside you. You started walking with no map, just pain, silence, and the memory of every room you were never safe in. And that journey, that lonely, dark, silent transformation, it made you something they can't even spell anymore. It made you a creature of power, of presence, of piercing perception. You can smell fake from across the room. You can feel betrayal before they open their mouth. You can see the emptiness behind a smile, and you don't ignore it anymore. And that's why they're so pissed. You stopped playing dumb. You stopped needing answers. You stopped bleeding for people who never brought bandages. You stopped being accessible to people who only showed up when it was convenient for them. Now your energy is locked up like gold. Now your presence is a luxury. Now your silence, expensive. They can't buy your time. They can't guilt you into attention. They can't lie their way back into your space. Because now, you believe their patterns, not their promises. And they hate that. They hate that you've grown eyes where there used to be blind spots. They hate that your nice now comes with conditions. They hate that your softness has teeth, and you're not afraid to bite when needed. You're not here to keep peace anymore. You're here to protect your power. You're not here to be nice. You're here to be real. You don't do fake hugs. You don't do half-assed connections. You don't do shallow love that evaporates the second you show emotion. They want the old you back? Too bad. That version got tired of dying quietly in rooms where nobody noticed the funeral. You are not hard to love. You're just no longer easy to manipulate. You're just no longer willing to shrink. You're just no longer the crash pad for people who only showed up when they were falling. And that boundary, that wall of silence you now carry like armor, it's the reason they whisper your name in jealousy. It's the reason they stalk your progress in silence. It's the reason they try to twist your story. Because they know you wrote an ending where they're no longer the main character. You're not cold. You're not distant. You're just finally matching energy. You're finally choosing you. And the world can't stand a soul who stopped choosing pain to feel connected. So let them hate, let them project, let them drown in the silence they begged for. You owe them nothing now. Not a word, not a warning, not a damn seat at your table. Because the loner they once mocked is now the standard they can't reach. They never imagined you'd get here. This version of you, the one that walks like nothing can shake you, the one that smiles like you've seen hell and came back with a crown, the one that don't ask, don't beg, don't flinch, just moves. They thought cutting you off would collapse your world. They thought their absence would leave you starving. They thought you'd fold without the validation, but you fed off the silence. You learned to breathe in it. You grew roots in the cold. And now, you're everything they pretended to be. They hate how solid you've become. They hate that your peace isn't for sale, that your energy is gated like a fortress, that your time is sacred now. Off limits to time wasters and drama addicts. They mad because your silence feels like revenge. But it ain't revenge. It's elevation. It's you, outgrowing the bullshit so high up they can't even reach to throw shade anymore. Let them talk. Let them twist it. Let them tell people you changed. Because you did. You changed the locks. You changed the script. You changed the way you bleed. Now it's on paper, not for people. You changed the way you love. Now it comes with fucking boundaries. You used to be available to everyone, and now they're all offended by your absence. But where were they when your heart was breaking quietly? Where were they when your overthinking had you up at 2 a.m. trying to figure out what you did wrong? When all you did was exist too loudly for their fake comfort zones. Now they want access again. Now they want explanations. Now they want softness after they fed off your suffering. But here's the truth. Access to you is no longer free. They used to have unlimited access to your light until they started dragging their shadows into your peace. And now, they get the locked gate. They get the voicemail. They get the version of you that doesn't give a fuck about small talk or guilt trips. Because you ain't just different, you're built now. You're built from scars they laughed at. You're built from nights they slept peacefully while you cried in silence. You're built from every time they said you were too sensitive, too intense, too much, when all you were was too real for their fake world. You used to break over people who can't even carry their own emotions. Now you walk away mid-sentence if the vibe feels off. You don't explain. You don't warn. You just disappear. Like peace returning to a room once the chaos is gone. And they hate it. They hate that you don't fight for their love anymore. They hate that you're not the old version willing to beg for closeness while they measured your worth by how quiet you stayed. Now you measure them. Now you choose. Now you are the one behind the velvet rope, deciding who gets to breathe near your peace. You're not mean. You're done. You're not cold. You're cautious. You're not bitter. You're built from truth. And that truth is, most people only loved you when you didn't love yourself. Now that you finally do, now that your love for you is louder than their manipulation, they don't stand a chance. You don't even hate them. You just see through them now. That's what drives them insane. They can't perform anymore. They can't pretend anymore. They can't hide behind fake check-ins or half-assed loyalty. Because you've been to the bottom, and it taught you the truth. Some people only reach out when they sense your glow-up. Not because they care, but because they feel left behind. And You're done taking passengers who never built with you. Let them stay pressed. Let them spin narratives. Let them scream into the void about how you switched up. Because while they're playing victim, you're writing chapters they'll never be part of. And that's the real reason they're mad as hell. They thought you'd be stuck forever. Stuck in the pain. Stuck in the apology loop. Stuck in that warped cycle of be nice, be soft, be small so they accept you. But instead, you stood up, tore off the mask, lit the script on fire, and walked the fuck off their stage. Now they're mad, not because you hurt them, but because you stopped letting them hurt you.